It's no secret that the US has been facing controversy, from tariffs to people getting randomly arrested. But today I want to talk about America's tourism industry. So today I'll be reacting to America's tourism industry being on the verge of total collapse, both from the perspective of being European, Dutch specifically, and having studied tourism management. So let's go ahead and get started.
Many businesses are bracing for what could be a sluggish summer. Visitors are even being told by their home countries to take their vacations and money elsewhere.
Tourism in Las Vegas is in a big slump this summer, costing the city billions of dollars. Some are saying that could signal trouble ahead for the U.S. economy.
Stunning images of near-empty passenger planes are popping up on social media. These international flights have many tourists flying to the USA practically alone.
The numbers are staggering. Right now, as you hear this, America's tourism industry is bleeding money at a rate that would make even the biggest corporations panic. We're talking about losses so massive that entire cities are watching their economies crumble in real time. But here's the shocking part. The government is celebrating record-breaking tourism numbers while industry experts are sounding alarm bells about total collapse. What's really happening behind the glossy headlines? The truth is far more complex and terrifying than anyone wants to admit. While official government reports boast about $126.9 billion in tourism revenue for the first 6 months of 2025, independent research firms are painting a completely different picture. The World Travel and Tourism Council dropped a bombshell in May when they announced that America stands to lose $12.5 billion in international visitor spending this year alone. But that's just the beginning of this unfolding disaster. Julia Simpson, the president and CEO of the World Travel and Tourism Council, didn't mince words when she delivered what many are calling a wake-up call to Washington.
Well, our members are quite concerned right now. The companies are holding off on hiring.
This is a wake-up call for the U.S. government, Simpson declared. The world's biggest travel and tourism economy is heading in the wrong direction, not because of a lack of demand, but because of a failure to act. While other nations are rolling out the welcome mat, the U.S. government is putting up the closed sign.
Yeah, before the video goes any further, because we're already 2 minutes in, just wanted to let him talk for a little bit. But in the beginning, she said that other countries were telling their residents to not visit the US. And that was the case for me as well. I'm from the Netherlands, and on my government website, they did have an advice or like more of a warning at the time that I looked about visiting the US and the things that could come with. So to be cautious of possibly being detained and things like that. So it definitely does not paint a very good picture for the US in terms of tourism and trust in that you'll be safe at the place. And I think that's where it starts. People, especially tourists, are not really willing to go to a place where they don't even know if they'll get in the first place, because there's stories of being detained and people looking through their phones, just getting detained for these small things that shouldn't really be the cause of it, of being taken away. And so if you already don't know if you're even gonna get in, then at that point it's like, okay, it creates the uncertainty that you don't want to have involved in making your travel plans, because for a lot of people, that, first of all, the travel time that they can go, so the time that they have to travel, is pretty precious. And on top of that, the money that they can spend. So for you as a tourist to be willing to put that trust in a place, there has to be, first of all, the certainty of getting in the country, and then while you're there, being safe, being genuinely wanted, or just not hated or unwanted as a tourist, because those tourists are gonna use their precious time and money to just go to other places where they might be more wanted, safe, and they can be certain of actually having a nice holiday. And that seems to be something that the US can just not prove at this point in time, which is very unfortunate, and I would like to see changed as well. But that's more or less what's going on right now. And that's why people are making different choices to go to maybe Canada, Mexico, Asia, Europe. So that's what's going on here. And I'm wondering if you're watching this, if you had booked a trip to the US, where are you taking it now, or are you still going to the US? And if you're ever willing to visit the US again, because I've also seen some people saying that they just don't ever want to visit the US again. So that would be really unfortunate for America if people would never be willing to go again, which I might understand, but it would be really unfortunate to see, of course, as like having tourism in mind and how that can impact an economy, if a lot of people would just never be willing to go again, even if the situation gets resolved. So I think that's really interesting to get a grasp on. So if you can let me know, then that would be great.
Her words carry extra weight because her organization represents the private sector that actually makes money from tourism, not the government agencies that collect statistics. The crisis is hitting from multiple directions like a perfect storm. Canada, America's closest neighbor, and traditionally one of its biggest sources of tourists, has practically stopped coming. Land crossings from Canada have plummeted by an eye-watering 28%, while air arrivals dropped 13.3%.
Yeah, is that also not because I think Trump was saying that he wanted Canada to be the 51st state of the US, which I would understand if Canadians would find that very offending. And you're definitely not stimulating them to visit the US then.
Think about that for a moment. Nearly 3 out of every 10 Canadian visitors who would normally drive across the border are simply staying home. Cities like Seattle are expected to see a 26.9% drop in international visitors. Portland faces an 18.3% decline, and Detroit is looking at a 17.3% crash. But Canada's pullback is just one piece of this puzzle. Europe, the source of millions of high-spending tourists, is also turning away. German and French visitors are down significantly, with some reports showing a 17% reduction in European visitors during what should have been peak travel season. These aren't budget backpackers we're talking about. European tourists typically spend big money on luxury hotels, high-end restaurants, and expensive shopping sprees on Fifth Avenue and Rodeo Drive. The human cost of this crisis is becoming visible on America's streets. Hotels that once bustled with international guests are cutting staff. Restaurants in tourist hotspots are reducing hours. Even luxury retailers are watching their sales numbers drop as fewer big-spending foreign customers walk through their doors. In smaller towns that depend entirely on seasonal tourism, some businesses are already closing their doors permanently. Here's where it gets really interesting. While government officials celebrate record numbers, independent research tells a completely different story. Oxford Economics, a respected research firm, forecasts that international arrivals will drop 8.2% in 2025. That's not a small dip. That's millions of missing visitors. The U.S. Travel Association is even more pessimistic, projecting potential losses of $21 billion if current trends continue. Every 1% drop in international visitor spending equals $1.8 billion lost from the American economy. The reasons behind this collapse are as complex as they are troubling. The strong US dollar makes everything more expensive for foreign visitors. When your currency is weak compared to the dollar, that dream vacation to New York suddenly costs 20 or 30% more than it did last year. Many tourists are simply choosing cheaper destinations instead. But money isn't the only factor driving tourists away. Jeff Freeman, president and CEO of the U.S. Travel Association, painted a disturbing picture of what foreign visitors now face at American borders. Whether just...
Before he gets into that, so yeah, he was talking about European travelers also choosing other destinations, and I have also seen people from Europe saying that their reasoning is kind of, why would I come to the US? Because at this point, if it's not certain that I can get in the country and that I'll be safe, why do I really need the US? Because I can find nice food, nature, culture, architecture in maybe European countries, Asian countries. So there's no need at this point to go to the US. And so that creates a sort of, what should I call it? Image or DNA of the US right now that is not beneficial at all for the tourism industry and in turn the economy of the US, because what's being painted here is the lack of need for the US in terms of travel, and there not really being any distinctive qualities about the place or the country that make it something or a place worthwhile visiting. So that can be really harmful and is, as you're seeing, really harmful for the tourism industry.
Justified or not, there is a perception that more individuals are being detained, more devices are being searched, and lawful travelers are being sent back to their home countries, Freeman told CNBC. This generates considerable fear. The political climate is also playing a major role. Aaron Ryan, director of industry studies at Tourism Economics, pointed directly at government policies. The posturing and policy around border security and trade tariffs have created sentiment headwinds among potential travelers. Between May and July, flight reservations to the US dropped compared to the same period last year, with European bookings down more than 10% and Canadian bookings collapsing by 33%. New York City, America's tourism crown jewel, is feeling the pain especially hard. The city that never sleeps is watching visitor numbers drop by 17%. Broadway theaters, world-famous museums, and iconic restaurants are all seeing fewer international faces. When New York suffers, the ripple effects spread across the entire country. But here's the twist that makes this story even more dramatic. Some government officials are painting a completely different picture. U.S. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick recently celebrated what he called record tourism numbers.
Yeah, so I was going to say something about this because I'm a bit confused on the government claiming different things about the numbers than the actual researchers. So I'm not too aware of why this is. So I'm wondering why they're doing that. Because it's hard for me to believe that they don't know the actual state of what the actual numbers are. Correct me if I'm wrong. But what's the point for them to, I guess, disguise what's really going on? Now, that may be for the outside world to think that it's going, it's operating like usual, tourism is booming, so not to raise any concern or something like that. But what I'm wondering is, do they not know that word will get out anyways, and then it looks really weird? So if you know more about that, then let me know.
Claiming they prove America is entering a golden age. Undersecretary William Kimmett echoed these claims, saying the record-breaking numbers show the strength and appeal of the United States as the world's premier travel destination. So who's telling the truth? The answer lies in how you count the numbers. Government statistics focus on total spending, which includes domestic travel, and can be boosted by higher prices. Independent research firms look at visitor numbers and specific market segments. Both can be technically correct while telling completely different stories. The competition is getting fiercer every day. While America struggles with negative perceptions and high costs, other countries are rolling out the red carpet for international tourists. Emerging.
That's the thing. It's also, I don't understand what the US thinks is gonna happen when they make it more unappealing for foreign tourists to visit the US, because they're just gonna go somewhere else and they will spend their money there. So you're actually not stimulating the US economy at all. And it seems like something they're not really thinking about, or they're not aware, but I feel like they should be aware. So I don't know what purpose they think they're really striving for, but I don't think this should be it.
Destinations in Asia, Africa, and South America are offering unique experiences at lower prices. Spain, Japan, and Mexico are building new tourism traditions with visitors who might never return to American shores. The long-term implications are staggering.
That's what I was saying as well, is what's gonna happen in the long term? Are people just never coming back to the US as a tourism destination? Because that could have very big impacts, and it's not something you necessarily want to see happen. Because I would want for the tourism industry to strive in the US, but not under these circumstances. And so I wish for them to try to fix this issue and this image that they are creating.
Tourism isn't just about hotels and restaurants. It supports jobs across entire communities, generates tax revenue for local governments, and creates a positive image of America around the world. When foreign visitors stop coming, the damage spreads far beyond the tourism industry itself. Some cities that depend heavily on Canadian visitors are facing particularly harsh realities. The data suggests that places near the northern border could see devastating drops in revenue this year. For small tourism-dependent communities, one bad season can mean the difference between staying open and shutting down forever. The acceleration of this decline is perhaps the most alarming factor of all. Multiple sources suggest the downturn isn't just continuing, it's getting faster. If current trends hold, next year could make 2025 look mild by comparison. The question isn't whether America's tourism industry is in trouble anymore. The question is how bad it will get before something changes. As millions of potential visitors choose other destinations and international arrivals continue to plummet, one thing is becoming crystal clear. America's reputation as the world's top tourist destination is crumbling in real time.
And that is really unfortunate to see because it takes time to rebuild that trust and a good image again, a good reputation for people to come back. So, and I don't wish that for them to have that ongoing bad reputation. So I think it's been time to fix this.
And the billions of dollars flowing to competitors might never come back. Before you go, we want to hear from you. Is America's tourism slump a temporary dip or the start of something bigger? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get the debate rolling.
Yeah, indeed. Is it the start of something big? I guess we can only make predictions, but I think if they don't find a solution soon, then it is likely that it is the start of something big, which I do not wish to see happen. But it's kind of ironic that the US or Trump wants to create more prosperity in his own country and then goes around and makes it worse. And I am honestly confused on what he thought was going to happen, because I think anyone could have foreseen the tourism numbers going down with everything that's going on. So I think it's high time that they rebuild that trust and show people that America is safe again if the reputation isn't long gone by now, if it's not tainted forever. So let me know in the comments what your sense on this is. Is America's reputation bad reputation, considering tourism a long-term, will it have long-term effects, or do you think that it can be resolved quickly? Let me know in the comments.